Hi, Gail Wells here with you today. And what I wanted to talk to you about today in particular is that some of us have spouses or family members or friends who definitely disagree with and don't see things the same way we do in loving someone dealing with substance use disorder. Sometimes they're angry with them, sometimes they're judgmental with them. They don't see it the same way you do. They disagree with you, they argue with you. They absolutely are not going to see your position. And I've had that happen on numerous occasions. And so what I've chosen to do is to allow them their perspective. It's not my job to change their viewpoint. And quite frankly, I have more important things to do than to change their viewpoint or to try to change their viewpoint. It becomes an exercise in frustration and anger and judgment on my part. And so I decided that I was going to accept their perspective. I was going to honor their perspective. And I was not going to try to change them or fix them or change their mind. And why was I going to do that? Because I wanted my efforts, energies to go towards, number one, loving my son in the midst of his addiction while drawing boundaries. And then, in fact, taking care of myself in the midst of my son's addiction. And part of taking care of myself is honoring other people's perspectives and keeping that perspective out of my energy zone, so to speak. I'm not going to argue with them. I'm not going to try to change their mind. It became a non-discussion. The second piece was if I couldn't count on some of the people that were closest to me to be there to support me in this journey, then I needed to find others who would. And that's where the community piece really came in. I kind of test drove with different friends of mine and different groups that I was in to, see where I was safe in bringing up my perspective, in speaking my truth, in sharing my journey of heartache and sometimes desperation and my own unfolding in this journey of on the front end, just totally desperate to make this different. I wanted my son's disease to go away. I didn't want to get the phone call one day that he was gone. And so easing up on that and understanding that it wasn't mine to fix, it wasn't mine to control, and I really could not change the outcome of whatever was going to happen other than to encourage him, to love him with boundaries, and then do my work. And part of my work was finding friends and communities that would allow me my voice. And so again, if you are running into people that are that are loved ones, that are family members, that are close friends, that absolutely do not agree with you, for me, I needed to take care of myself and let them have their own beliefs. Stop arguing. Stop trying to convince. Stop trying to change them. There's actually a lot of lessons in that part that's the same in dealing with the person that you love with substance use disorder. And then find people where you have a voice, where you can speak your truth, where you can tell what's going on. And they will support you. They will walk with you. They will hold the space for you without judgment, without ridicule, without shame. And when you feel safe, then I found myself being able to ask other people's perspectives. I wanted the people that I felt safest with, I could ask, okay, help me understand, how are you viewing this? How might you view this? And then I could legitimately take what their perspectives were and then reflect and think, is this a perspective or a viewpoint that I care to entertain, to maybe change my perspective? Would I even consider changing my perspective? And slowly but surely, learning how to surround myself with people who could honor my viewpoints, even if they disagreed with them, was part of the mission critical piece for me. And then I looked for books and podcasts and people that I could learn from. And part of the learning was to let go of my need to change people's minds, my need to have them see it my way, my need to control how they saw it. I think we all have these stories, particularly like with close friends. If they're not seeing it our way or they think we're crazy for seeing it the way that we do, what I'm totally open to hearing perspectives. What I really push back on is the level of judgment and shame and wrongness that comes to the table sometimes. And then also understanding that somebody that you love and care about may truly want to not have anything to do with this. It's too painful for them. They really, truly, from a heart perspective, cannot handle it. And so partly, I think about, Sam in and out of rehabs so many times. And every time one of the people close to me would, think, oh, we're here. And then we weren't. Oh, we're here. And then we weren't. And so it was super hard on their heart and their emotions to have this up down because they were kind of wedded to and riding the roller coaster of his behavior. And what I began to learn along the way, after 5, 6, 7 rehabs was that this was going to be on Sam's time frame. And hopefully every time he did one, he learned something different and new. And that he would hit that point where he chose life for himself, which was the most important thing for him to do. He wasn't going to do rehab and stay clean and sober for me. He wasn't going to do it for my wife. He wasn't going to do it for his aunts and uncles or his cousins or his friends. He was going to have to get to that point where he was willing to do it for himself, that his life was worthy of getting clean and sober for. And so that journey of watching and witnessing the ups, downs, sideways, all the crazy that comes along can really pull at your heartstrings if you are kind of lined up for the ups and downs yourself personally. If you are able to get yourself in a place where you embrace what is, no matter what is, you love them through no matter what is, with boundaries for yourself, that's a much stronger and more powerful position for you to be in. And some people just can't do it. And that's okay. And then it's our job to let go of the expectations that they're going to do it our way. Let go of the expectations that they're going to do it our way. They're sometimes embedded in our relationships, these assumptions that if they loved us, they would see it our way. If they loved us, they would do it our way. If they loved us, they would agree with us. And that is just not the case. That's just not the case. So for me, this was me getting clear of letting go of that. that belief did not serve me. And I let that go so that I could be freer, so I could focus on my son, I could focus on me, I could focus on the life that I love, and I could release my friends and family to do it the way they wanted to do it. And sometimes that has meant we don't talk about Sam. They don't know what's going on with him. It's not a discussion. And in fact, sometimes when it has come up in some form or fashion, I have shut it down because I'm not going there. I'm not going to hear on the other side of it the judgment, the shame, the guilt, you should have done it this way. Why'd you do it that way? I'm just not going to go there. So I'm protecting myself by doing that. When I realized that some people just are going to hold that space. So let go that they're going to do it your way. Take care of yourself. Be the gatekeeper of your own mental health, your own emotional health, your own physical health, and your own spiritual health. And stop expecting whatever that rule is, I don't know where it came from, that they should do it our way. They should believe what we believe. They should just adopt how we come at this completely. And most of the time, it's just not going to happen. So allowing with grace and humility. People are allowed their own journeys, their own perspectives. But embrace yours. Stand up for yours. Speak your truth. Find people that are psychologically safe for you. Tell your truth. Get different perspectives. Create a community of support that is trustworthy and is willing to actually hold the mirror up for you. And you trust that mirror that they're holding up for you. You know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that they are coming from a place of love and respect and honor for your journey. Respect and honor for your journey. Take that stand for yourself. Stand in your own power for yourself. Do the things that you believe will serve your journey of self-care, of getting your mental state straight so that you can sleep at night, so you can eat well, so you can live a life that you love while in the midst of loving someone who's dealing with substance use disorder. It can be done. It's intentional. It's focused. It's trial and error. Sometimes, I hit the mark. Sometimes I don't hit the mark. I'm aware of when I don't hit the mark, and I'm aware of when I do hit the mark. And I do take time to celebrate. Man, I did really well today, or I did really well in this moment. And so here's a story that I'll share with you. I got a call from my son not too long ago, a couple weeks ago. And he has a stepsister who is about 12 years older than, 12 years older than he is, 45. And she's been dealing with cancer. And in the midst of all of this disease with Sam, there was a kerfuffle and there was a breaking of the relationship. And so Sam has now been 14 months clean and sober. He's doing his work. He's working his program. He is getting his life back. And he has tried to reach out to her to make amends. And in the midst of all of this, she did not reach back. She didn't want to hear from him. And so when he called a couple weeks ago, he called to let me know that she had passed away from cancer. And he was dissolved in tears and brokenhearted because that resolution would never happen now in the physical form. And he wanted desperately to go to her funeral. And in the conversation that I had with him, I said, I asked for permission to share my perspective. And I shared with him that he would be going into hostile territory with family members that believed he was no good, that he was less than scum because he was, a recovering addict and had not forgiven him for behaviors that he had done while he was in addiction mode. And I asked him to think long and hard. And then I also said, my perspective is that your recovery is first and foremost. First and foremost. And this situation potentially could challenge that recovery significantly, because in all of his adult life, he had never been through the grieving process. And I asked him to think long and hard about that. And as it turned out, they didn't have a service for a multitude of reasons, and they'll do a celebration of life later on. So I get off the phone with him, and one of the things that does obviously pop into my head is, this is the hardest challenge on his recovery he has ever faced. This is the first time in his adult life that he will be doing grief. He will be feeling grief. He will be in the midst of the experience of grief, where he doesn't grab a hold of a drug or alcohol or a way to numb himself or anesthetize himself. This is his moment when he will be most challenged in his recovery. And so as his mom, I thought about those things. And then I thought, I will check in with him. I will talk to him. I will encourage him. And I will also do my work. I will grieve the loss of his stepsister. I will hold the possibility and the intention for Sam's continued recovery and for him to do the grieving work with his sponsor, with his home group, with the communities that he has created around himself that will hold him in the midst of his grief, that will teach him how to grieve in a healthy way. I didn't go down the rabbit hole of extreme worry and concern. I stopped myself at the edge. And I've held that position, although every once in a while there's a thought that goes through my head. This could be the moment, this could be the day. I know those thoughts don't serve me. And those thoughts don't serve him. So I keep sending loving thoughts to him, encouraging thoughts to him, congratulations thoughts to him for each day that he learns how to grieve in a healthy way and holds true to his recovery. You're going to have those moments. If the ones that are dealing with substance use disorder are in recovery, they're going to have a moment that's going to challenge their recovery. It's also going to challenge your recovery. Hold the space for them. Stop the judgment. Stop the I can fix it. Stop the I can control it. Let them learn to grieve in a healthy way in the midst of their recovery. They will become stronger. And by holding the space for them to do that, you become stronger. You become an easy person for them to call and cry on the phone, sobbing, holding the space for them, to experience their grief. Love them that way. And then love yourself equally as hard. Think about it. Set some intentions around it. And remember, not everybody's going to do it your way. And allow them the respect, the honor, and the humility on your part to let them do it their way, and also ask and find what it is that you need so you can do it your way. Thrive. Take care.